The moment a woman rejects you, your mind starts searching for a reason. You ask yourself what you did wrong. You replay every conversation. You wonder if you were too nice, too available, too emotional, too quiet, too honest, too late, too weak, or simply not enough. And then the pain does something dangerous. It tries to make you chase the person who just pulled away from you. That is where most men lose their power. They text, they explain, they apologize for things they do not even understand. They check her stories. They wait for one reply like their whole life is sitting inside that notification. And while they think they are trying to get her back, they are actually teaching her that her rejection controls their emotional state. In a few minutes, you are going to understand the real reason women often come back after rejecting a man. It is not because he begged harder. It is not because he found the perfect message. It is not because he convinced her with logic. And before this is over, you will know how to handle her return without becoming the same desperate man she walked away from. Because the real reason women come back is not magic, it is not luck, it is not manipulation, it is the moment your energy changes. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop performing, and stop making her rejection the center of your identity, something changes in the dynamic. She may not notice it immediately. She may not admit it. She may even act like she does not care. But when a man who used to be emotionally available suddenly becomes calm, focused, and absent, the silence starts speaking. And silence speaks louder than begging. Most men do not understand this because they think rejection means they need to prove more. They think if she rejects them, they must show more love, more effort, more patience, more loyalty, more emotion. They think if she could just understand their heart, she would change her mind. But attraction does not grow through pressure. Respect does not grow through begging. Desire does not grow because you keep reminding someone how much you care. A woman may reject you for many reasons. Maybe she lost attraction. Maybe she felt you were too available. Maybe she was unsure. Maybe she was emotionally confused. Maybe she had another option. Maybe she did not value what you gave until the access disappeared. But after rejection, your reaction becomes part of her memory of you. That is the part men miss. She remembers if you begged. She remembers if you panicked. She remembers if you insulted her. She remembers if you kept calling. She remembers if you became bitter. She remembers if you lost yourself. And she also remembers if you stayed calm. A woman may reject a man, but if he handles that rejection with dignity, it can create a different kind of respect. Not instantly, not always. But over time, it changes how she remembers him because most men collapse when they are rejected. A man who does not collapse becomes rare. When she rejects you, the weak part of you wants to ask, why wasn't I enough? But the stronger part of you must ask, how do I remain a man I respect? That question saves you. Because if you make rejection your identity, you will start acting beneath yourself. You will chase someone who chose distance. You will beg someone who chose silence. You will compare yourself to people you do not even know. You will turn one woman's choice into a verdict on your entire life. That is how heartbreak becomes humiliation. A self respecting man does not do that. He feels the rejection, he feels the pain, he feels the sting, he feels the urge to fix it. But he does not let the urge lead. He steps back, not as a game, as a boundary. If she chooses distance, let her experience distance. If she chooses silence, let her experience silence. If she rejects your presence, stop offering it for free. That is not revenge. That is reality. The reason women often come back after rejecting you is because your absence gives them something your presence could not give them anymore. Perspective. When you are always there, always texting, always available, always trying to make things right, she does not feel the cost of losing you. She may reject you and still feel your attention. She may pull away and still know you are waiting. She may go cold and still receive your warmth. That means she gets distance without loss. She gets space without consequence. She gets freedom without feeling your absence. So she never has to truly ask, what did I lose? But when you step back for real, that question can begin. Not because you forced it, because you allowed reality to happen. Most men never allow reality to happen. They interrupt it with panic. They interrupt it with another text. They interrupt it with a just checking on you message. They interrupt it by watching her stories, liking posts, asking friends, posting quotes, and keeping themselves emotionally present. They want her to miss them, but they refuse to be absent. You cannot be missed if you refuse to become absent. That line matters. You cannot be missed if your attention is still available. You cannot be missed if she knows you are waiting. You cannot be missed if your whole energy says, reject me and I will still chase you. That does not create attraction. That creates certainty. And when she is certain that you are still there, no matter what she does, she does not have to feel urgency. She does not have to wonder. She does not have to reflect. She does not have to respect the cost of her choice. A high value man does not reward rejection with more attention. He does not become cruel. He does not become childish. He does not punish her. He does not try to make her jealous. He simply removes his energy from a place where it is not being valued. That is self respect, and self respect is attractive because it is rare. Now, understand this clearly. This does not mean every woman will come back. No one can promise that. People have free will. Some women will not return, some should not return. Some rejections are protection, some endings are blessings you only understand later. But if there's any real chance for her to look back, miss you, respect you, or reconsider, it will not come from chasing. It comes from the contrast between who she expected you to be and who you became. She expected you to chase. You did not. She expected you to beg. You did not. She expected emotional paragraphs. You stayed quiet. She expected you to orbit her life. You stepped back. She expected her rejection to break you. Instead, you rebuilt. That contrast creates curiosity. At first, she may feel relieved. That is normal. When someone rejects you or pulls away, they may feel space, freedom, or control in the beginning. That is why chasing early is so damaging. If she is in that relief stage and you chase, you become part of the pressure she wanted to escape. So you give space. You let time work. Time does what your words cannot do. Time removes emotional noise. Time lets memories return differently. Time lets her compare your absence with what she thought she wanted. Time lets her realize whether she rejected you because you truly were not right or because she took your value for granted. But time only works if you stop interrupting it. Every time you send a message from panic, you reset the dynamic. Every time you check her profile, you reset your own healing. Every time you ask someone about her, you keep yourself tied to the rejection. Every time you post for a reaction, you prove she still controls the stage inside your mind. That is not power, that is hidden chasing. Real power is when you stop chasing even in private. You stop checking, you stop imagining conversations, you stop building your day around whether she comes back, you stop using your growth as a performance for her attention. You start becoming a man again. That is the real reason women come back. They do not come back to neediness. They come back to value they can feel but no longer easily access. A man whose attention has boundaries becomes different. A man whose silence is clean becomes different. A man whose life keeps moving becomes different. A man who can be rejected and still not abandon himself becomes different. And different is what creates a second look. But if you are only acting different to get her back, she will feel that too. A woman can feel when your silence is a tactic. She can feel when your no contact is secretly a countdown. She can feel when your new confidence is just a mask over desperation. She can feel when your gym progress, your posts, your changes, and your silence are all secretly aimed at her. That is not transformation, that is performance. And performance collapses when the audience does not clap. Real transformation is when you rebuild whether she sees it or not. You train because your body matters. You work because your future matters. You sleep because your mind matters. You stop checking because your peace matters. You grow because you are tired of being controlled by rejection. That is when your energy becomes real, and real energy cannot be faked. The old you wanted her back because her rejection made you feel small. The new you may still care, but he does not need her return to feel valuable. That is the shift. And that shift is what she feels if she comes back around. Now let us talk about the mistake men make after rejection. They try to get closure from the person who just created the wound. They say, I just need to know why. But many times that is not true. They do not want closure. They want hope. They want one more conversation. They want one more chance to change her mind. They want to hear something that makes the pain easier. So they ask questions from a weak place. Was it me? Is there someone else? Do you still care? Can we just talk? Can I explain? Can we start over? The problem is not that questions are always wrong. The problem is the energy behind them. When your question is really a disguised attempt to pull her back, she feels it and it becomes pressure. A self respecting man does not chase closure from someone who chose distance. Sometimes the rejection is the closure. Sometimes the coldness is the answer. Sometimes the silence tells you enough. Sometimes the way she treated your heart is all the explanation you need. That does not mean you hate her. It means you stop begging for emotional paperwork before you begin healing. You do not need her permission to move forward. That is a powerful sentence. You do not need her permission to move forward. The moment you understand that, you stop waiting for her to explain your worth. You stop waiting for her to apologize before you rebuild. You stop waiting for her to admit she was wrong before you stand up again. You take your life back, and when a man takes his life back, everything changes. He stops being reactive. He stops being emotionally available to rejection. He stops checking for signs. He stops asking, does she miss me? And starts asking, do I respect how I am living right now? That question is stronger because a man who respects himself is no longer easy to manipulate. If she comes back, he does not collapse. If she stays gone, he keeps building. If she sends a soft message, he does not lose his center. If she gives mixed signals, he does not chase clarity from confusion. That is masculine maturity. And maturity is what makes a man memorable after rejection. Most men become smaller after rejection. They become bitter, needy, angry, desperate, or obsessed. But a mature man becomes calmer, sharper, more disciplined, more grounded. He does not pretend it does not hurt, but he refuses to let pain lead. Pain says, text her. Discipline says, not tonight. Pain says, check her story. Self respect says, that will only reopen the wound. Pain says, make her jealous. Maturity says, I do not perform for people who walked away. Pain says, ask her why. Wisdom says, her actions already told me enough. That is leadership. A man must learn to lead himself. Because if he cannot lead himself through rejection, rejection will lead him into weakness. And rejection is a terrible leader. It will lead you into begging. It will lead you into stalking. It will lead you into comparing. It will lead you into accepting crumbs. It will lead you into calling anxiety love. You must become the leader. That begins with one decision. For the next 7 days, do not message her first. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends about her. Do not post to get her attention. Do not reread old messages at night. Do not make emotional decisions after midnight. Do not listen to sad songs for hours and call it healing. For 7 days, train your body, handle your work, fix your sleep, clean your room, eat properly, drink water, walk when anxiety hits. Write your thoughts, but do not send them. Pray if faith is part of your life. Build your schedule. Put your phone away before bed. This is not about pretending you are fine. It is about proving that pain can hurt you without owning you. That is how you rebuild self trust. Every time you say you will not text and you do not text, self trust returns. Every time you say you will stop checking and you stop checking, self trust returns. Every time you keep your routine while hurting, self trust returns. Confidence is not built by repeating empty affirmations. Confidence is built with proof. Proof that you can feel the urge and still not obey it. Proof that you can miss her and still not chase. Proof that you can be rejected and still stay disciplined. Proof that you can love someone without abandoning yourself. That proof changes your energy. And when your energy changes, her memory of you may change too. She may start remembering your patience. She may start remembering the way you cared. She may start remembering how you did not collapse. She may start comparing your calm absence to the attention she thought she wanted elsewhere. She may start realizing that she had access to something stable and let it go, but do not become addicted to that possibility because the moment her regret becomes your mission, she still owns you. Your mission is not her regret. Your mission is your growth, your body, your work, your faith, your peace, your direction, your standards, your future. Build so deeply that whether she regrets it or not, you do not need her regret to validate you. That is real power. Now, if she comes back after rejecting you, this is where you must be careful. Her return does not automatically mean she loves you. Her return does not automatically mean she changed. Her return does not automatically mean she is ready for a healthy relationship. Sometimes women come back because they genuinely miss you. Sometimes because they are lonely. Sometimes because another option failed. Sometimes because they feel guilty. Sometimes because they want attention. Sometimes because they want to know if they still have access to you. Sometimes because they have truly reflected. Those are different reasons. Do not treat them all like love. A weak man hears, I miss you, and forgets everything. A grounded man hears "I miss you" and observes what comes next, because contact is not commitment, a message is not accountability, a soft voice is not changed behavior. A late night text is not a relationship. If she reaches out, do not punish her, do not act cold, do not act like you are above her, but do not hand her full access because she sent one message. Stay calm. If she says, "Hey," you can say, "Hey, hope you're doing well." That is enough. If she says, "I miss you," you can say, "I hear you. What made you reach out?" That is clear. If she says, "I've been thinking about us," you can say, "I understand. What do you want to do with that?" That invites intention. You do not need to write a speech. You do not need to bring up every wound immediately. You do not need to prove how hurt you were. You do not need to secure the relationship in the first conversation. You simply move slowly. A real return can handle patience. A fake return will usually get uncomfortable when you do not offer instant access. Good, let it reveal itself. If she comes back with clarity, consistency, accountability, and respect, you can listen. If she comes back with confusion, emotional crumbs, mixed signals, or attention seeking, you step back. That is not punishment. That is protection. A man with self-respect does not let someone reject him, return casually, and receive full access like nothing happened. Access has value. Your peace has value. Your attention has value. Your time has value. If she wants to return, she needs to meet the man you became, not the man she rejected. That means your routine stays, your standards stay, your direction stays, your discipline stays, your emotional control stays. Do not abandon your life just because she reappears. Many men do everything right until she comes back. Then they stop training, they stop focusing, they start waiting again, they become too available, they become anxious, they start fearing another rejection. And suddenly the same old pattern returns. Do not fight to get her back if you are only going to become the same man again. Become different, become steadier, become less reactive, become clearer, become harder to pull into chaos. That is the man who can handle her return. And that is the man who can handle her absence too, because the real test is not whether she comes back. The real test is whether you stay yourself either way. If she comes back, stay centered. If she does not, stay centered. If she misses you, stay centered. If she moves on, stay centered. If she texts tomorrow, stay centered. If she never texts again, stay centered. That is freedom. A man who needs her return is still in prison. A man who can receive her return without losing himself is free, and freedom is attractive because it does not beg. Now, let us talk about why rejection sometimes creates attraction later. When you accept rejection with dignity, you show emotional strength. You show that you do not need to control her choice. You show that you do not need to punish her for not choosing you. You show that you can handle disappointment without turning into a weak or bitter man. That matters. Because women remember how a man handles emotional pressure. If you become angry, she remembers danger. If you become desperate, she remembers pressure. If you become bitter, she remembers maturity. If you become calm, she remembers strength. Strength leaves a different imprint. She may not understand it right away. She may not come back right away. She may even test other experiences first. But later, when the emotional noise settles, she may remember that you did not chase, you did not beg, you did not insult. You did not compete. You did not collapse. You stepped back, and that can make her wonder. Not because you played a trick, because you acted like a man with standards. That is why the real reason women come back is not rejection itself. It is what your reaction to rejection reveals. If your reaction reveals neediness, she feels confirmed in leaving. If your reaction reveals self respect, she may start seeing you differently. That is the key. But again, do not turn this into a performance. Do not say, "I will act calm so she comes back." Say, "I will become calm because I refuse to be controlled by rejection." That is real growth. And real growth helps you whether she returns or not. Fake growth only feels useful if she notices. Do not live for notice. Live for your own respect, because months from now, you will have to remember how you handled this moment. You will either remember that rejection turned you into someone you are ashamed of, or you will remember that even while hurting, you kept your dignity. That memory will matter. So when the urge comes tonight, do not obey it. Do not send the message. Do not check the story. Do not ask about her. Do not post for her attention. Do not turn one woman's rejection into proof that your life has no value. Stand up, breathe, drink water, walk, train, pray, work, sleep, build. Do one thing that makes tomorrow easier, because discipline is how a man tells rejection, you can hurt me, but you cannot own me. That is the man she remembers, not the man who begged, not the man who folded, not the man who chased after being rejected, the man who hurt but stayed composed, the man who cared but did not abandon himself, the man who wanted her but did not make her the judge of his worth, the man who turned silence into strength, rejection into standards, and pain into direction. That man is hard to forget. That man is hard to replace. That man is free. And if she comes back, he does not rush. He does not punish. He does not collapse. He listens. He observes. He lets actions prove what words cannot. And if she never comes back, he still wins because he did not lose himself trying to be chosen by someone who was willing to walk away. So remember this. The real reason women come back after rejecting you is not because you chased, begged, or convinced them. It is because your absence created space, your self respect changed the dynamic, and your growth made your value clearer. But the deeper truth is this: whether she comes back or not, you must become that man anyway. Become the man who does not chase rejection. Become the man who does not beg for clarity. Become the man who does not let one woman's choice destroy his identity. Become the man whose attention has value because his life has direction. Become the man who can love deeply and still walk with dignity. That is the real power. Not forcing her to return, becoming the kind of man who no longer needs to force anyone to see his worth. And in the next video, you will learn the exact signs she is starting to regret rejecting you and how to handle her return without losing the power you worked so hard to rebuild.